Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tutorium in Intensive English at the University of Illinois at Chicago. I'm Jordan, your grammar teacher. In today's module, we'll be talking about separable phrasal verbs. If you have not seen my lesson on inseparable phrasal verbs, go back and view that. It may be helpful. So in today's lesson, we will look at examples of separable phrasal verbs, and we'll learn the grammar rules. So let's look at some examples. The students brought up spring break today. The students brought spring break up today. The students brought it up today. Jason thought over the idea. Jason thought the idea over. Jason thought it over. Ellie hung up the phone. Ellie hung the phone up. Ellie hung it up. So what do we notice about these examples? Well, first of all, we can see that we have at least two ways to use a phrasal verb. If we look at the first sentence in each example, the students brought up spring break. Jason thought over the idea. Ellie hung up the phone. We can see that the verb and the adverb or the preposition are together, and that is perfectly fine. With separable phrasal verbs, you can also put something in between the verb and the adverb or the preposition. So for example, the students brought spring break up. Jason thought the idea over. Ellie hung the phone up. Lastly, if you are not mentioning the exact thing and instead you're using a pronoun, that can also go between the verb and the adverb and the adjective or preposition. The students brought it up. Jason thought it over. Ellie hung it up. Now, the grammar notes are very similar to the previous lesson, just a few changes. As a reminder, phrasal verbs are frequently used in conversation. You will probably not use these all the time in your academic or professional writing. If you do use a pronoun, like I said, it, her, him, or them, you will need to separate that verb and then the adverb or preposition. Now this will look very familiar. There are three types of these phrasal verbs. We have a verb plus an adverb. For example, put back, which means return. She put back the item. Or I can say she put it back. Number 4, verb plus preposition. So for example, ask out. That means to ask someone to go on a date. So for example, Manuela asked out Ariela, or Manuela asked her out. And lastly, just like the inseparable phrasal verbs, we can have a verb plus an adverb plus a preposition. For example, get back from. This means to receive something that I maybe gave to somebody else. For example, he got back his phone. So maybe somebody took his phone. Similarly, we can say he got it back. Right. So that's what's going on with these separable phrasal verbs. They can either be together or you can put something in between them and the sentence will still make sense. Now, I talked about this in my last video, and I will reiterate or repeat some of the same pieces of advice that I gave in that video. When we are learning phrasal verbs, it is tough because there are thousands of them. You have probably already started learning phrasal verbs just by picking up vocabulary in different places. However, as you know, English speakers use phrasal verbs quite a bit. They are extremely popular. There are so many to learn. So if you do want to study phrasal verbs specifically, learn phrasal verbs by category. Don't spend your time learning phrasal verbs that are not going to be useful for you. So if you are majoring in engineering, look up common phrasal verbs in engineering. If you are someone who likes art, look up common phrasal verbs in art. So go with topics that you plan to be using sometime in the future. Another thing is one way to focus on learning phrasal verbs by category is to read and listen to a variety of topics. So that means watching different types of movies, listening to different types of podcasts, listening even to songs if that's something that you like to learn from. But listen to a variety of those because you will pick up different phrasal verbs from different places. Of course, one of my favorite sites is also Quizlet. If you are someone who likes vocabulary cards and vocabulary games, then this might be a great option for you. If you are commuting from work or school and you want to go on the Quizlet app and play a little vocab game, that's something that you can do. And lastly, be okay with not learning every phrasal verb out there. I can tell you as a speaker of English, I don't know every word that exists in this language. Similarly, you probably do not know every word in your own language. There's so much vocabulary in each language, and that's okay. If you forget a word or you don't know a word, it's okay to look words up. It's okay to ask the person that you're speaking to what the word means. You can also try to listen and understand what they're trying to say from context. This means maybe you don't know exactly every word, but you understand the general idea. And that is normal for every language learner. Even my colleagues and I, we've studied other languages, and that's something that we have to do when we're speaking with other people, and that is okay. That is normal for not being a native speaker of a language. So, thanks for studying with me today. I hope that this was useful. Go out, have some fun, practice with some new phrasal verbs, and please study with topics that you really like. When you study with topics that you enjoy, you are more likely to remember them. So, go have fun. Language learning should be fun. See you next time.